Hi everyone, I'm Toby and this is Brian.
Hello, everyone.
And Brian, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Gosh, it's been months since I've been live. I used to have like a weekly show that I did. This is awesome. So my name's Brian Arturo. I've been a core team member of NuMundo for the past 5 years, and I am a retreat producer, a facilitator, and a marketing consultant.
Awesome. And for those who aren't used to seeing me on these Facebook Lives every week, I'm Toby Israel. I've been NuMundo's storyteller for the last year and a half. I'm also a retreat producer and facilitator. And together, Brian and I are sharing something really exciting in Costa Rica next month called the NuMundo NuLiving Experience. It's a co-working and co-living immersion pre-Envision Festival. And we're going to talk today a little bit about what it's like to be a digital nomad. So we both have
Mhm.
a lot of experience with that.
Yeah, so in case anyone doesn't know, being a digital nomad is someone who is able to take their work on the road. So that typically means you have a remote job, maybe it's full time, maybe it's part time, maybe you're a coder, a writer, a graphic designer, but you're pretty much location independent. So as long as you have good enough Wi Fi and your trusty laptop, you're good to go. And so there's an emerging trend that's happening worldwide with people really taking advantage of this lifestyle and traveling the world and maximizing their fun as they work wherever they want.
And we've heard one statistic that there are going to be 1 billion digital nomads by 2030. So
Dang.
this is a growing trend. I've been, I guess I've been a digital nomad really for the last 5 years. Brian, I don't know about you.
Yeah, it's been about 5 years. My journey actually started. I worked for this huge consulting firm, and it was a remote position, and that's how I moved from Chicago to California. It was like as soon as I was remote, I went to join my romantic partner at the time, Shayna, and I actually road tripped across the United States while working remotely. So I didn't take any time off. I just
Did you sleep?
designed each day so that I was driving when I wasn't supposed to be working, and just like set up at coffee shops and libraries.
How did that work out for you?
It was a little bit tricky because we were trying to cover ground, but honestly, some of the best memories. I mean, I got to see Zion National Park and just so many amazing things. So it was worth it.
Awesome. I guess I was freelancing for a while I was traveling through Kenya, and then I got my first full-time remote job when I was living in Zanzibar, and I was already teaching yoga. And then I took on this full-time editing job, so I would like teach my class in the morning, come back to the house I had set up on my laptop for the day, run to teach my class in the afternoon, and then actually try and get some beach time in the bits in between. But it was a stressful start, and I think I've learned a lot since then about what I need to work remotely and not be constantly stressed about it. And internet is probably one of the biggest. At least where I was in Zanzibar at the time that I was there was nothing reliable about the internet, and it was like this daily struggle to just get the hour to stay logged in while I did my work.
Yeah, I was working remotely for a solid 3 years throughout Central and South America, and that was the biggest challenge. It was like wherever my destination is, if I have meetings that day, am I going to have solid internet? And so I think that is a growing challenge, but also something that's improving for people who know how to find good internet. Like for example, in the NuLiving experience that we're doing in Costa Rica, which is 10 days long, we've purposefully set up a situation where you're super comfy. There's super fast internet. It's like a location where you're encouraged to work when you want to, and then when you don't want to, you can like participate in workshops and have a good time with both of us. But yeah, I have some of the fondest memories, being remote and being able to travel. Like, for example, for the past couple of years, NuMundo, ran a company retreat in Costa Rica once a year. And that was a huge, huge highlight. We would go to Finca Morfa, one of my favorite centers in Costa Rica, and just have meetings all day, outdoor, but still had Wi-Fi. Right next to the beach, there'd be scarlet macaws literally flying overhead. We'd see monkeys come and visit us. And then we would take constant breaks and just get to enjoy, jumping in the ocean or doing acro yoga, or just exploring the orchards and seeing all the permaculture systems. So that was amazing. And, all these little things that you never thought would happen become some of your favorite memories. Like on our last trip, we didn't realize we were there during a full moon. And so it's evening time. We look out onto the ocean and the moon is just massive. It's huge. And you could see its reflection on the water. The water is just like gently rippling. And so we all decide to just run out and jump in the ocean, even though it's like 8 p.m. And we're just all out there. And it's an ecstatic moment, like something you couldn't plan for, but it's just so enriching and fulfilling in so many, playful ways. So, it's definitely been really fun to be location independent, I would say.
And I think you hit on something that for me is super key, Brian, and that's the community side, where if you work in an office or you work in a traditional work setting, you have people around you all day, every day. And I think I often work from home or I work from cafes, but it's very different to work remotely, and then you actually have to seek out that community and surround yourself with that kind of enriching tribe.
Yeah, it's definitely a trade-off. It's not for everyone, but for the type of person who really knows how to just get the most out of life and be a little bit more adventurous, or put a little bit more effort into who they might want to hang out with or surround themselves with, I think it's super rewarding. And it's interesting, like I've been geographically grounded for the past, it's hard to remember, the past 3 years or so. And I'm in a small town called Fallbrook, and I get to work from home, which is beautiful. It's the winter time, and this is my view. It's super pretty out. But my point is that I live in between San Diego and LA, two major cities. And so because I work from home, if there's ever an event or a friend is visiting in either city, I'm really easily able to drive down to San Diego or LA and spend a couple days out there, knowing that I can just, use my friend's Wi-Fi or go to a really nice cafe and say, hey, I'm co-working in LA today.
Right.
And that's kind of fun and exciting. That's good for productivity. It's like I get to see a new part of the city, and then I just get to keep working. So, really appreciate this lifestyle for now.
Yeah, I've been based in Costa Rica for the last year and a half now. And at this point, I have friends I can go visit. I live in the city right now. I can go visit friends in the mountains, in the jungle, on the beach. And as long as there's Wi-Fi, and there always is, then I can get the work done that I need and then go surf in the afternoon, or go for a hike to the river in the morning and then work later in the day. And when I talk about it like that, I sort of remember all over again how lucky we actually are to have this lifestyle.
Yeah, and this brings up a point around finding a work-life balance and finding self-care practices, because I've noticed when I have a ton of computer work and I'm just literally plowing through it, blasting through it, my body starts to tense up, and I'm kind of like hunched over, and I'm just trying to maximize my work hours, and I noticed that that's not good for my health. And it's not good for productivity either. I find that I'm most productive when I'm able to relax and literally take a break every 20 minutes. So it's great. At home, I'll work for 20, 30 minutes, and then I'll come in the backyard and take the compost out, or I'll, I'll maybe do some sweeping or go for a walk. And so I feel like having this lifestyle where you're not, you know, necessarily expected to be in a specific office means that you have the flexibility to maximize your productivity and happiness by taking constant breaks. And, you know, of course, it's amazing when part of your break can include, you know, picking fresh fruit from a tree, or going over to a new friend and, I don't know what, doing a massage trade or whatever.
That would be my first pick.
It usually is most people's when that option is there.
I like to make snacks too. It's like probably a fair trade-off between those two.
Yeah.
Yeah, the balance is key, and I know exactly what you mean. It seems like we're being more productive in the moment when we like hunker down and dig in for 6 hours, but it's actually, you know, I'm super drained at the end of that, and I'm still tired the next day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and sometimes it's helpful to work a little bit less. Like we have on days and off days, right? So yes, there's meetings that are scheduled on your calendar, but for example, you know, if you're coming out at the NuLiving Experience with us, then you have, you know, between 4 to 8 hours to work. If you want, you can just get all of your necessary tasks done in the first 4 hours, and then spend the rest of the day, you know, drinking cacao with us, or doing acro yoga, or going on a hike down to the river, or, you know, doing authentic relating games, getting to know new people. You know, it's always a great networking opportunity. So yeah, I think it's really important to design flexibility into our lifestyles when possible, and then maximize that.
Absolutely. Brian, you mentioned a couple of the things that we're going to be offering. Do you want to share, I don't know, give a little bit more of a preview into what kinds of workshops and classes you'll be offering, and I'll do the same.
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I'm actually really curious about your self-defense class. I purposely listed that first because I think it's the most interesting. Could you actually talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, of course. It's for sure, it's one of the things I'm most passionate about right now. I teach something called empowerment self-defense, and it's a method that was developed by female martial artists, specifically to address the kinds of violence that is faced by women and minority groups and high-risk populations. But the techniques can apply to anyone. It's a mix of physical techniques that draw from a variety of martial arts methods, verbal techniques that work a lot with boundary setting and simply saying no, and then role playing. And so I'll be sharing at least one workshop and maybe more about that. And it's really incredibly powerful and incredibly empowering to learn how to defend yourself, not just physically. Some people have those skills already. Some people have never taken a martial arts class, and so that's totally new. But also just to work with expressing our boundaries and saying no, and knowing that we have the power to back up that no if we need to. And I've found so many applications for the verbal techniques in my day-to-day life. Fortunately, I don't live in a place where I need to defend myself physically on a regular basis, but knowing that I can is also gives me the confidence as a woman who lives alone and travels alone all over the world to know that I'm not putting myself at risk just by being out walking around at night.
Absolutely. Love that. Yeah, I can't wait for that. I totally understand how it would just change, you know, your confidence and the way that, you know, you show up for everyone, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I really like and what I'm really looking forward to around the experience is pretty much how we've put together all the activities. So for example, when you wake up in the morning, there's going to be an opportunity to participate in a mindfulness practice. You know, it might be yoga in the gorgeous yoga studio that you may have seen in our videos and our photos. It's really beautiful. There might be group meditations. There might be guided journaling. You know, then breakfast is served. We're going to have an opportunity to have a group sharing circle. So to really check in, share how we're feeling, really feel like we're all in this together. You know, we're a community, we're going to enjoy the day together. And then, you know, go to your meetings, answer the emails, answer the most important stuff, do whatever work you need to do. And then the rest of the day is kind of back and forth between like meals and different activities. So we're going to have an ecstatic dance, which is a way of dance where there's no judgment and you can just express yourself however you want. There's a pool, so you can always go swimming. We're going to have a couple different networking, mastermind, mentorship type sessions where it's like, how can we support each other? What skills do we have that we can trade? I have a company where I set up a really sweet tea lounge environment for different events. And so I'm going to bring my tea setup, and, you know, a couple different nights we'll all be able to just sit on cozy pillows and enjoy a really sweet conversation while I serve everyone tea.
I'm bringing some really ceremonial grade cacao, so we'll definitely have a cacao ceremony at least once.
Exactly, yeah. And then one of the last things I'm super excited for, I mentioned a few times, acro yoga. If you haven't tried acro yoga, it's really amazing. It's pretty much partner yoga. You may have seen it on YouTube where one person is literally flying on top of the other person, airplane style. And it's fun because there's more of the traditional acro yoga where you're doing different moves and it looks really beautiful. And then there's the therapeutic style where the base on the bottom is really working to stretch out the flyer, the person on the top. And people always love that because you kind of just go limp and then all of a sudden you're being stretched out. So that's something that we can practice even the whole 10 days, depending on, you know, how excited people are to do it.
And I don't even know if I told you this, Brian, but I'm also really excited to share some partner yoga, which is, it's acro yoga without the acrobatic element, and massage as well. So that's going to be happening. And so if you're like nervous about offering a massage trade because you don't feel like you have those skills, don't worry, we're going to get you set up.
Yeah, this is a NuMundo style event, so we know how to create a really sweet environment where, you know, by the end of the journey, we're all pretty much family. And then, yeah, right after the NuLiving Experience is Envision Festival, which is super, super popular. Both Toby and I will be there, and yeah, it's just a really, really fun party in the jungle, and they're really good with their sustainability and just the way that they curate the experience. There's something for everyone.
All right, we're out of time and then some, so I think it's
that's what I figured.
Time for us to sign off, but thank you everyone for hanging out with us. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. Brian or I will answer. Links to the NuLiving Experience are in the description for this video, and we will see you very soon in Costa Rica. Yeah, please reach out to us. We can answer any questions. Like if you need a discount, we've got you covered. Let's just see you in Costa Rica. Pura vida. Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Toby. Bye, everyone.